Yo, what's going on, y'all? My name is Christopher Life Willars, social content creator. Yes, I reached 31 million people last year, but tonight I'm chatting with Staxx. Y'all know what it is, man. Make sure you get into this conversation. We're talking about some good stuff for real.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Christopher Life Willars.
You sign it, you go home. I looked at him again. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He looked at me, he said, I want you to know you're going to get a life sentence. And I'm going to be the reason you get it. I'm going to make sure they throw the book at you because you turned down your opportunity. And him and his partner got up, and before they left the room, his partner said, but if you do make it home, make sure you, your sons, or your grandsons don't ever come back to our city again. And then they walked in the room. They walked off. Officer came and got me, and they threw me in solitary confinement. And I had 18 indictments, 18 indictments, 6 robberies, 6 conspiracies, 6 gun charges. Why? Very important. When you run into one place, if somebody robs a place, you don't get a charge for the building. You get a charge for each individual that was in that building impacted by the crime. So if it's 5 people in the building, that's 5 robbery charges. That's 5 conspiracies. That's 5 gun charges. And for the viewers at home, it was a BB gun. It does not matter in certain states. That's why it's important to know the law and have a lawyer on retainer. In Virginia, a BB gun is just as good as a real gun. If you're pointing it, you're pointing it. And I got to add this. They didn't even have the BB gun as evidence at all.
What did they have as evidence against you?
Watch this. So let's go back. So why did the 2 young individuals that would be our co-defendants run? Approximately 2 days later. The very next day, after we had split the money up, the neighbors walking up to the 3rd floor. My cousin lives on the 2nd floor. He's got our 2 homeboys in there at the time, or his 2 homeboys, one of their baby mamas and newborn baby, music blasting, smells like weed, neighbors walking up, concerned citizen call to the police. There's a baby downstairs. Cops come, knock on the door, boom, boom, boom. Cousin opens the door, thinking it's one of his homegirls or somebody. Weed smoke smacks the police in the face. Now they have probable cause. They can enter the dwelling, or we can wait for a warrant. Your call. We got you. They go into the apartment. They don't find anything. Baby's fine. It's nothing crazy. It's just loud music, weed smoke, right? Which is not good. That is crazy. But they find a bong, and on top of the kitchen cabinet, they found a blue money bag.
Oh, money bag.
What the money bag? For whatever reason, they kept the money bag in the apartment. I don't know why. And they left that day. They didn't make any arrests that day, but they brought it back with them because why the hell do you have a money bag? That's weird. And a bong. We're gonna take that, And that was what caused them to run. And somebody asked me one time, do I think they would have made an arrest with just the money bag minus the testimonies or whatever? I don't know. That's a good question because I think they would have got us. That bag would have got traced.
But now they got testimony against you, and who's cooperating against you?
Well, I'm in solitary confinement, losing my mind on what they call Yellow Brick Road, and the tray slide opens up. You can't see out the door. You can't, you're just in a freaking concrete, whatever. When the tray slide opens up, usually that's your meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Tray slide opens up. I'm thinking it's lunchtime. And all of a sudden I look and a tape recorder gets sat down on the tray slide. And I see a dude hit play to hand. And it's one of my cousin's homeboys, he's just going crazy. And the scary part is he's putting stuff on me that he's saying I went into places. He put a body on me. I got questioned. They knew that was BS. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, yo, what if they didn't think it was like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was the wildest, craziest, like, I knew it was over with. When he played that, it was over with. And I looked at it, it was one of the detectives came down there just so I could hear that. You know what I'm saying? And I think the next person I seen was my ex-girlfriend's now, her stepfather. He came to the jail. It was bad, man. I'm sitting here just thinking it was bad, bro. Like 19 years old, you're running the street. You go from military, you living in Cali, North Dakota, and then you come out, you mess up. Now you're in jail. Like you can't move, you can't drive your car, you can't be with girls. Fuck, you got some weird dude in the corner staring at you. Like, and then I'm from Chicago. I'm not from VA. So when they put me in the block, like my first 2 hours was mayhem. Like it was just unnecessary. It was just.
They're like, "Where you from?" You're like, "I'm not here. I don't know nothing about this place."
Yeah, I was like, "Yo, I don't want no problems." Like, and that was it, man. It was time to learn how to bid. It was, here we go. Time to really be a man now.
Now, did they cut any time off the guy who cooperated?
No. Well, I'm sure they did, but remember, like I told you, they had robbed some place in North Carolina. So
yeah, they had a lot on him.
He left Virginia anyways. He's gonna go. So knowing how, now that I understand as an advocate in the justice system, states cooperate in sentences when they know somebody's coming there. They'll make it look good here and send you out in the next state. So yeah.
So how long do you stay in county?
County? I was in
and
county.
what's your offers looking like when they come to you?
Offers. Everybody doesn't get an offer. I had no offers because my offer was when I could have signed the paper. And when that detective said he was going to do everything, I had no plea. No plea. I had to go in front of the judge. It was either go in front of a jury, and if I got found guilty, I wouldn't be able to appeal that time, or go in front of a judge and I could file for a motion of reconsideration, etc. And I went in front of the judge and pled guilty and threw myself down at the mercy of the court. My mother's got up there, said some nice things. My public defender, he was drunk half the time, but I guess he tried. He reminded me of Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny. I swear to you, promise you. But I ended up in county for about a little over a year. Yeah.
And what was your sentence?
Oh man, I got sentenced to 144 years.
God.
Yeah, all suspended. 144 years, all suspended, but 19. But nonetheless, 144 years. And to this day, being home 5 years now, off probation, got my passport, been to other countries, that opened the school, all that, but still got 50 years over my head.
So that time is still hanging over you.
One false move.
But so is it kind of like probation, but you don't have to report? Deferred, like a deferred sentence.
Right. They call it 50 years good behavior. So you gotta have good behavior 50 years. Yeah.
Wow. So what's it like when you get a sentence that big at that young age?
Well, like I said, I was a psychopath in the making, so it didn't hit me like that. Like it did, like it was messed up, but I was grateful. And the reason I was grateful is because I was watching people go in there with similar charges and they was getting like 500 years, nothing suspended. I knew this white dude that Paul had like a 628 year sentence. Nothing suspended. Like, so I'm looking at it like I'm 19. I got all this time suspended, but 19 years. I got to do 85% of that. So that's like 16 years and some change. Worst case scenario, I'll be 35. But what's crazy is how I ended up with that number, because I was really supposed to get 54 years to do. And when I was in the bullpen getting ready to get sentenced, my attorney, the first time he came in there, he was like, I can get you 54 years, 35 to 54 years. I'm like, I can't do that. Just like that. He was like, well, tell me something. Tell me something to go tell the judge. I got to go tell him something. I was like, man. So as a 19-year-old kid, I had about 2 minutes to figure out what my attorney, my public defender, should tell the judge. And what that means is how much time I was willing to sacrifice from my life that would make them feel okay with, and I could survive. And I told him, I said, all I want to do is do less than 20 years. I want to be home before I'm 40.
So it's a ding, 19. We'll go with 19.
Give you 19. Do you a favor. Knock one off. Man. So, yeah, I went from somebody that got into some fights, never seen a jail cell. Intelligent, you know what I'm saying? Excel scholastically, academically, all that, military. And then now I'm 144-year prison sentence. Yeah.
So what's it like your first experience going into prison? Because jail and prison, two different places.
Yeah, jail and prison is two different places. But I learned really quick that intelligence reigns supreme and the smartest man in the room controls it. And to get in the United States Air Force, you got to score the highest on the ASVAB. So I ain't saying I'm the brightest light bulb in the ceiling, but in that environment, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that, they just don't have certain types of education, etc. So jail, I manipulated the system. Once I started to figure out how to manipulate COs, I had my crew. We were serving trays, selling chicken. We got it. We was getting tobacco in. I learned really quick how to make things shake. Because I'm from Chicago and I'm in the country, so they're like, oh, Chicago, and I was cool with everybody. And when I went to prison, though, nobody cared about none of that. Nobody cared. Now I'm with grown men, and they sent me to a level 4.
Yeah, that's like a high
maximum security. So
so they got murders in there and all kinds of.
70% of the camp got life sentences, and I'm a short timer with 19 years. My first cell partner had 54 years plus a life sentence and had been down for like 21 already. When I walked in that pod, I remember the first time I walked in the pod in prison, the guard was like, your cell's down there. He was just, there's no introduction. And I'm standing outside my cell when the door opened. It looks like a little apartment in there. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I ain't never seen a cell like this. I'm used to doing county time. And this old head, dark-skinned black dude, one gold tooth in his mouth, Omar, man, he pulls up. R.I.P. Omar, man. And he like, what's up, young blood? I'm your cell partner. I'm an OG from Richmond. He said something, I ain't with no fruit. He was basically telling me like he's straight. Straight up. I ain't with no weird stuff. What in his eye, whatever. He's breaking shit down. So he's like, it's about to be locked down, and let's slide up in here. I'm gonna break down everything about what's going on in the pod prison. He's talking all fast, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on, and it's count time, and he starts going in. He's like, look, youngin. They got cities, they got gangs. It's different here. Do you bang? I was like, nah. I said, I'm just from Chicago. So you don't bang? Nah, I don't, I'm from Chicago. He's like, well, they gonna make you bang. He's like, you 19. Which car are you gonna get in? He's like, matter of fact, here. And this all within the 5 minutes. He gives me a knife, piece of steel with electrical tape. Like, he's like, this is my hustle. I make knives. I get I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, I'm in prison. From there, immediately, he's like, you smoke? I'm thinking he's talking about a roll-up. I'm like, yeah, gives me a roll-up. Next thing I know, I smell weed. I'm like, we're in prison. You know, he passes me. Now I'm in prison an hour in, high, out my mind. Should not be. You should be on point because they gonna come at you, which they did. The wolves came. And he told me they was gonna come, but I was just trying to escape reality. And I was when they popped the cells, we went to chow and we had to go down these stairs to go to chow. And this is all within the first 2 hours. And everybody was stepping over this dude, just laying there in the step. And I'm just like, my cell partner's like, just keep going. But I look down and dude's got his pants pulled down, his jaw twisted, he's bleeding. I'm just like, here we go, you know. So,
and did you have any altercations off the?
Oh, did I have any altercations? Yes. So, I was within 48 hours. I got jumped. My first 2 days, I pull my box out and sit it against the wall and just sit on my box, not bothering nobody. I'd get a book, I'd read. So I wasn't in the cell the whole time because he'd explain to me, he's like, sometimes you can get the cell, sometimes I get the cell, you know. And these dudes pull up on me and they just joking, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know you. And it's not jokes like we cool. It's like y'all trying to joke me. And I noticed they was kind of like the circle was getting tighter. I'm like, so I stood up. And when I stood up, the first dude, you know, and now I'm fighting 5 dudes. I got lumped up. I got stabbed with a piece of steel in my arm. It was what it was. You know, the police, by the time they shot, because the officers got a gun in the tower, so they let off the rubber bullets. Everybody got down. They came in, sprayed us. They brought me to medical. I'm bleeding. I'm thinking I'm dying. I don't know what's going on. And I'm lumped up, but I ain't really lumped up. It was so many of them. They was really hitting each other for real. And the investigator comes to medical after they stitched me up, all that. And he's like, yo, we're putting you in the hole. He's like, they tried to take you out. What are you into? It's like, we don't really got nothing. He's like, you got a gang card. Because I had started this little BS clique at the jail with just the young guys. It was nothing. He's like, you got a gang card? You owe somebody? Like that? I was like, no. I said, I ain't been. I just got here. He's like, well, we putting you in a hole and then they gonna ship you. It might take you up to a year to get to the next level 4. Because I'm like, he's like, well, I was like, I'm not trying to go to the hole. He's like, well, I can't put you back on the yard. I was like, man, you got to put me back on the yard. I said, because if you don't put me back on the yard, bro, they're gonna say I snitched. I already know from being in county how it goes. When one guy goes to the hole, everybody comes back on the same camp. They gonna say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's like, you could sign a waiver. I'm like, what's that? He's like, you could sign a waiver, and if something happens to you, we're not liable, and we'll put you right back in the same cell. So
in the same cell, same pod, everything.
Yeah. So I was like, do what you got to do. I was like, boom. I said, I'm gonna sign it. And within like 2 hours, they wrapped my arm, told me to come to pill call and said good luck. And they let me go back to the same cell. It was during lockdown time. And I went in the cell. My cell partner was like, yo, you good? I was like, yeah. He's like, what happened? I was like, man, I told him let me back, sign a waiver. I was like, who was them guys? I was like, why they jump me? He was like, man, they just youngins. He's like, they from my city. I was like, man, I want to fight all of them, just like that. And that's one thing they didn't know. Like at the jail, I'm not the biggest dude, but again, like I grew up fighting. Like my father, 5 uncles, we boxed. We did, that's what we did, right? So I was like, man, just make sure I could fight them one at a time. He's like, you crazy. He's like, man, I'm gonna make sure they don't do that shit no more. You tripping, you crazy. I'm just pacing in the cell. I got my state boots on. I got the scrub. I'm like, no, I'm not. I say, man, I gotta fight them, man. I say, man, because if I don't, they gonna think, you know what I'm saying? No, he's like, no, you got your respect. You got jumped. It happens. I'm like, nah. He was like, all right, you ain't gonna keep, because I'm like getting hype on him. He's like, all right. So when they popped the cells, everybody came out. But what happened was some of the dudes from Tidewater, some of the 5%, they didn't like the fact I got jumped because I wasn't bothering nobody. So they asked me, some of the big dogs in the pod, they was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to fight each one of them.